Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, my name is Taylor Ray, and today I am filming the pros and cons of living in North Hollywood. So as I said when I filmed my pros and cons of living in Hollywood video, this is a subscriber suggestion. So once again, shout out to Esther C. Thank you so much for your idea. Since I've lived in multiple neighborhoods, I thought why not talk about the other ones that I've lived in outside of downtown, and that's why we're here. I lived in NoHo for just about a year. This was my in-between downtown phase. So I was living in South Park to living in NoHo Arts District to then moving back downtown in the historic core. So yeah, if you haven't seen my pros and cons of living in downtown LA video, definitely check that out. And I also did an apartment tour of the second place I lived in. In North Hollywood, I lived in an apartment community with one roommate. I had the master bedroom and my own bathroom, and she had her own bedroom and a bathroom across the hall. And I can't remember for the life of me if we had 2 parking spots or just 1. Regardless, at least 1 parking spot was included in our rent. So I didn't necessarily go apartment hunting in North Hollywood. North Hollywood was a place that I was apprehensive to live in the first place. It was between this and a place in Pasadena. But ultimately we ended up going with North Hollywood. My roommate at the time was already living in that area, and because it was under the same property management, which I had an amazing experience with in downtown, I was definitely open to it. We still had all of our amenities, you know, meaning like the same amenities I had when I was in downtown. We had a pool, a jacuzzi, a gym, key fob access, that was a big one. And yeah, it was definitely like a different aesthetic, but similar features, washer and dryer in the unit, which was obviously appreciated. So it ended up being like, I guess I would say maybe the best option at the time. So I convinced myself to move to the Valley. We had friends that lived there, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to get closer to them. And maybe the Valley was what I needed. So it ended up being a really interesting chapter in my life for sure. But with all of that being said, let's get into these pros and cons. Keep in mind, these are based off of my personal experiences. So do what I do when I watch these videos, which I did watch a ton when I moved to Seattle. Take it all with a grain of salt. I love watching videos like this, so that is why I'm choosing to make them. They're really here to help you figure out your journey and what's gonna be best for you. And I'm giving you my insight on the year that I lived there. So that is the fine print. Let's get into these pros and cons now. Starting with the pros of living in North Hollywood. Pro number 1, the North Hollywood Arts District is just super cute. Of course, it is walkable. That's a big reason I loved that neighborhood. It's near a train station. Actually, the last stop on the Red, there is a lot to do. I mean, it's an arts district, so you have this tiny little strip of bars and restaurants and coffee shops and apartments and yoga studios. There was like a boba tea place I really liked going to. So yeah, tons of cute places to enjoy. It's also close to the Burbank airport, so kind of nice living near an airport. I think I was like 10, maybe 15 minutes away. My second pro, or pro number 2, it has a very artsy energy, as you can imagine, but it's not like pretentious. You know, it's cool. I don't really know what to compare it to. I've never like lived in an arts district before, but there's art everywhere. There's music, there's festivals. So there was just a lot of things like that, honestly, like lots of little happenings. I remember there was this cafe, and it was like every so often, I actually don't know how often, but they would have somebody come in and do music. It was like a singer-songwriter, a little band, and it was just cool. And I felt like that was really like sort of the theme of that neighborhood, was art and just a creative energy overall. Pro number 3, I genuinely think it's a great place to start your LA journey, no matter what you're trying to pursue or how old you are. I think it's it's a great place to start because it's pretty reasonably priced. And if you don't know like even where you want to live, I think that that's a great opportunity to just start in a place where you're not spending a ton of money straight away and figure things out as you go, you know? It's also pretty safe there. So again, no matter how old you are, what you identify as, I always felt pretty safe there. You know, there's homeless people everywhere, so there is definitely a bit of that. But as far as, you know, going home after a night out, I felt very safe for the most part and wasn't aware of many break-ins in my neighborhood. I will say a lot of the valley is like that. So anywhere in the valley would be a great place to start. And if you're coming from, you know, a small town or whatever, I think it feels the most similar, if that makes sense. So it's like an easy type of neighborhood to adapt to and adjust to. Okay, on to the cons. Con number 1, for me, it is a pretty young neighborhood. I moved there when I was 23, maybe because I didn't really identify with a lot of the crowd, which is you get a lot of dancers, a lot of aspiring actors, probably some models in there, who knows. I know that there's like a few dance studios like in the area, not necessarily the arts district from what I know. I'm not a dancer, so I'm actually not 100% sure. But I used to know somebody who was a dancer, and as far as I know, there are a few like in the valley, so I think that's a big reason that they kind of flock there. And then I think there's like a couple of acting schools in the area. Again, not 100% sure. I never went there for acting, but yeah. And then of course it's like pretty reasonably priced, so I think it just attracts sort of a younger crowd. My building was definitely younger. My whole neighborhood was pretty young. And when I say young, like I don't know how old these people are, so maybe these people are in their 30s, like I'm not really sure, but I'm telling you guys what I experienced is I felt a younger energy compared to downtown, my first building when I lived alone. It felt like the building was made up of a lot of young professionals. I knew that there were a couple people working at Facebook there. So I just felt like that was one of the first things that I sort of noticed about the neighborhood compared to where I was staying before. My second con would be that it just felt too residential for me. I did grow up in a small town, so I'm one of those people that literally wanted the opposite of where I grew up. And though I never lived in Seattle before this time in my life, I did go to school in Seattle, and that was like my tiny taste of city life. And so when I moved to LA, like Hollywood still felt like kind of city-ish to me. I don't really know how to describe it. I think maybe just the energy of it a little bit. But going downtown obviously was like felt like the real deal. And so going from downtown real city vibe to the arts district, it just felt too residential for me. I didn't really like it. Again, I grew up residential. It didn't do it for me. It didn't make me feel excited to be there. So I would say that, yeah, that was my second con, was just missing, like really truly missing the city. And my final con was really just that I found that I didn't have, like, my main friend group didn't live in North Hollywood. Like, I was friendly with my roommate. I thought I was gonna get closer to that friend group, and it didn't end up happening. And so I found myself mostly back in downtown Santa Monica or West Hollywood. That's where my friends either were living or hanging out. So I spent, you know, as much as I tried to take advantage of living in the arts district, and, you know, I feel like I definitely did, like, take advantage as best I could and experience the things that it had to offer. I also feel like I didn't spend a lot of time there because I was going where my friends were going. So that is, you know, of course, something that might not affect everybody, and maybe all of your friends will end up living in the valley. You know, and that's the thing, is like, if all of my friends were in like Burbank, Toluca Lake area, that area, then I think that it would have felt more fulfilling. But because I was always traveling just to go to like a different part of town to be with people that, you know, I had fun with, it was, I don't know, just kind of something that stuck with me, especially when I was going back and writing the script for this. That was something that really stood out to me that I felt during my time living there. So that's it, guys. I personally would not live there again. That is just me. you know, I appreciated the neighborhood. I used to be obsessed with it when I was like 17 to 19 probably. I visited LA a lot before I lived there, and that was one of the places I would go. I had a friend that worked in one of the coffee shops there. So I feel like even before I lived there, I experienced it. It definitely felt like a hot spot sometimes, but I feel like when I was younger. And then as I got like a little bit older, I guess, it didn't feel like the hot spot anymore. I'm not sure. But yeah, I wouldn't live there again, but I definitely appreciate the year that I spent there. The roommate that I had, it was good. And then it made me really realize that I need to go back to downtown, and that's exactly what I did. So this is my last neighborhood video, but I do have some more LA content for you all. One more pros and cons video actually for you. In the meantime, I do have a playlist dedicated to all of my LA content. It is a combination of sit down and vlogs, and I started it when I actually lived there. So if you want to check that out, I will link it down below. There's a pizza place that I really think everybody should go to. If you are in the North Hollywood area, North Hollywood, California pizza. Let's see if we can find it. No, we're gonna find it. Pitfire Pizza. So Pitfire Pizza is dope, and believe it or not, it's not even the pizza that I like. I'm now craving this, by the way. I, to this day, die over I wanna tell you guys exactly what it's called. What is it called? Baked mac and cheese. If only I had footage of Pitfire Pizza. So good. So that is where I'm gonna end the vlog. No matter where you are in your LA journey, whether you're visiting or living there, in or out of North Hollywood, Pitfire Pizza is worth the trek. Indoor, outdoor seating. The baked mac and cheese is everything. And I wish I could order it right now. So stay tuned for more LA content next week, and I will see you guys in the next one.